In 1477, a Genoese sailor stepped ashore in a small walled city on the edge of the Atlantic. He had come looking for signs of land beyond the ocean. What he found was a port city already trading with Spain, ruled by merchant dynasties who carved their coats of arms into limestone mansions and surrounded on every side by Gaelic clans who wanted them gone. That sailor was Christopher Columbus, and that city was Galway. This is the story of 800 years compressed into stone, salt and silence. From a wooden fort on a river crossing to a walled merchant republic. From a 9-month siege to a famine that emptied an entire county. This video uses AI tools to visually rebuild what Galway may have looked like across the centuries. The images are not perfect reconstructions, but our goal is to bring the past as close to you as possible and let you experience a city that most of history has forgotten. Before there was a city, there was a river, the Corrib, fast and cold, cutting through limestone on its way to the Atlantic. And at its mouth, where freshwater met the salt of Galway Bay, there was a crossing point. It was the kind of place that men fought over. In 1124, the King of Connacht built a fort here, a military stronghold to anchor his fleet and control the western coast. For over a century, Gaelic clans fought over this position. The local families held it, lost it, took it back. Then, in 1232, the Normans came. A lord named Richard de Burgo crossed into Connacht with soldiers and ambition. He captured the fort and built a stone castle where the wooden one had stood. Within a generation, his family had laid the foundations of something new, not just a fortress, a town. And around that town, they began to raise walls. What came next would turn a river crossing into one of the most powerful merchant cities in Ireland. By 1270, the walls of Galway were rising. Thick stone defences, paid for by tolls, on every ship that entered the harbour. And behind those walls, a new kind of power was taking shape. 14 merchant families, mostly of Norman origin, gradually took control of everything. Trade, politics, the courts, the church. They imported wine from Spain and Portugal. They exported wool, leather and hides to the ports of France. They built stone mansions with carved doorways and filled them with goods from across Europe. They became known as the tribes of Galway, and they made it very clear who was welcome inside the walls and who was not. On the western gate, facing the wild territory of Connemara, an inscription read, "From the ferocious O'Flahertys, may God protect us." The population reached around 3,000, which by medieval standards made Galway a significant town. In 1396, a royal charter confirmed the merchant family's grip on power. A century later, Galway had its own mayor. And then, around 1477, a foreign sailor arrived. He prayed at the Church of St. Nicholas, and he watched. On the shore, 2 bodies had washed in from the Atlantic on pieces of driftwood. They looked like no one in Europe. Columbus wrote about them in the margin of a book. He believed they had drifted from the east. He was almost right. They had come from the west. The 1600s had not yet brought their wars. For now, Galway was rising. Fires in the late 15th century had destroyed much of the old timber town, but the merchant families rebuilt in stone. Lynch's castle rose on the main street, its limestone facade carved with elaborate coats of arms. Nearby, other families raised fortified townhouses 3 and 4 stories high, with ornamental windows and private courtyards. Galway was beginning to look less like an Irish frontier town and more like a small Mediterranean port. And in many ways it was. Spanish and Portuguese ships anchored regularly in the harbour. Wine barrels were rolled through the narrow streets. In the markets, you could hear English, Latin, French and Spanish spoken in the same afternoon. In 1545, a new charter extended the city's jurisdiction all the way to the Aran Islands, 20 miles out in the Atlantic. The Spanish Arch was built in 1584 to protect the quays, where merchant ships unloaded their cargo. But beneath the prosperity, pressure was building. The Protestant Reformation had reached Ireland. Galway's merchant families remained Catholic. And in London, the Crown was watching. If you are enjoying this journey through time, consider becoming a member of the channel. Your support helps us keep rebuilding the past, one city at a time. In 1641, Ireland erupted. Catholic rebels rose against Protestant rule, and Galway, that cautious merchant city, had to choose a side. It chose the Catholic Confederates and then the King. The city spent the 1640s preparing for what it knew was coming. The citizens paid for modern bastioned defences, turning Galway into one of the most fortified cities in Ireland. To the south, Galway Bay; to the northwest, the waters of the Corrib; to the east, the marshes of the river basin. There was only one narrow approach by land. In August 1651, parliamentarian forces under Sir Charles Coote surrounded the city. Galway was the last stronghold still loyal to the Crown in all of England, Scotland and Ireland. The siege lasted 9 months. Inside the walls, food ran out. Then the plague came. By the spring of 1652, the city was starving and dying. The military governor agreed to surrender. The date was the 12th of May. What followed was devastating. The merchant families who had ruled Galway for 4 centuries were stripped of their properties. Cromwell's soldiers called them the Tribes of Galway, meant as an insult. The families kept the name. It was all they had left. The city that had traded with half of Europe fell into silence. It would not recover for 300 years. After the siege, Galway entered a long decline. The old Catholic merchant families had lost their homes, their warehouses, their seats on the city council. Protestant settlers took their place. New laws made it worse. Catholics were banned from holding office. In 1704, legislation barred new Catholics from settling in the city, except for sailors and labourers. When fears of a French invasion arose in 1708 and again in 1715, all Catholics were ordered to leave Galway entirely. By 1762, the population had reached around 15,000. Only about 350 were Protestant. But it was Protestants alone who governed. The harbour fell into disrepair. The trade routes to Spain dried up. Galway became a shadow of what it had been. Then the worst came. In 1845, the potato crop failed. And in the west of Ireland, where the soil was thin and the people were poor, the failure was absolute. County Galway lost approximately 120,000 people in a single decade through starvation, disease and emigration. In Galway City, the workhouse overflowed. By May 1847, fevers were taking 100 lives a week. Ships left the harbour carrying the living. Many would not survive the crossing. They called them coffin ships. The city that once traded wine with Spain was now exporting its own people.